I want to talk to you about some stuff. Like, we need to have more love in this country. Stop telling women what to do. Treat women with respect. They're your mothers and your sisters and your aunts and your cousins and your friends. Please don't if they've been SA'd and get pregnant by that person, they should not be forced to have that baby if they don't want it. And if they want to give it up for adoption, that should be their choice. Or they should be allowed to have an abortion, but they should be allowed to get the morning after pill given to them so they don't become pregnant. That's the one thing they should do. Is if you get SA'd, go get that immediately so you don't get pregnant and have to deal with that, because that is. And if you do get pregnant, you should be able to make your own choice, not nobody else. Nobody should tell you that choice. Period. Even if, like, if you know that you and your boyfriend just broke up or your husband are breaking up and you don't want to have to bring a kid into the situation because you don't want to have to deal with that person after you're divorced, that's your choice. That's the woman's choice, because she has to deal with it, because she's the one that's going to be majorly taking care of that child. Most women majorly take care of their child. And for two, we need to do better with the racism in this country. There's too much racism, and what happened to that Ukrainian woman, it should have never happened. I see Raw Beauty Christie talking about it, and nobody should have murdered Charlie Kirk. But Charlie Kirk's opinions are way out there, and and his opinions is he thinks women's rights should be taken away from him. Like, the man should make all the choices, and no woman. You know how many votes would be gone if there wasn't women's votes? Nobody should tell a woman that she doesn't have a right to vote for her own reproductive rights. We should be able to have birth control and condoms to prevent pregnancy so that we don't have babies that are unwanted. Because a lot of people, only 10% of pregnancies end in abortion. And it's only in desperate situations that women have an abortion. And for three, we need vaccines. There are certain vaccines that are a must. That if it's a vaccine that completely prevents you from getting a sickness, that completely, we know from medical research and scientific research, works, we need to be getting those. Period. They don't cause autism. They prove that it doesn't cause autism. It's already been proven that it doesn't cause autism. Do your research. The places you're looking are conspiracy theories that they cause it. That's not it. You know, if you get sick for a day or two from a vaccine, it's because it's putting a little bit of that inactive version of that virus, so your body can build up antibodies so you don't get sick from it when a live version of it does. That's what a vaccine really is. And it works. The measles, mumps, and rubella work. If it don't work, somebody tried to say that the vaccine don't work. Some vaccines don't work for them. That's a rare occasion where the vaccine don't work for you. But if there's enough of us out there that are vaccinated, people won't get sick. But there's too many people not vaccinating their kids and letting them get sick. Why would you want to risk your kid getting a very, very dangerous, like, people don't get, scarlet fever like my grandma had when she was a kid that attacked her heart. There's certain viruses, the ones that should be optional, the ones that are optional that you don't have to have, that they don't say are mandatory, like they were when I was a kid, they should be mandatory. Because your kid's going to school with if your kid's going to go to public school, they should be vaccinated. For every vaccine that, maybe not the flu shot or maybe not a flu shot or COVID shot, but the rest of them, like the measles, mumps, and rubella, and those kind of shots, like the which one is there? The chickenpox vaccine. Those ones you should, because those ones work, and they stop your kid from getting a sickness that makes them down and really sick. And the measles is what killed the author of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory's daughter. There's a movie about it, but it's a foreign film. It's not an American film. That's why I didn't watch it yet. I can't find it. It's in English, but it's not, I think it's in English, but it's not, I can't find it anywhere to watch. I can't remember the name of it either, but it's about Roald Dahl that wrote Matilda, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. He wrote Charlie and the Chocolate Factory in honor of his daughter that died of measles. That is so sad. That was sad. You know, I love that you have your freedoms, but there's some things that should just be mandatory, because when you're putting other people's lives at risk by not doing something, if you're just putting your own life at risk, that's one thing, but when you're not doing it, you could be making people, if you catch what you're not getting vaccinated for, and you come in contact with somebody who's not of the age that they give that shot to, you could make a poor baby sick. And that's not right. Because a baby could die from if a baby was to catch something like measles, they would probably die. There'd be a small chance that they would probably live. That's not something I want to risk. I don't want that to be on my conscience. And I don't want my nephew to get that. That's why my sister went and got him vaccinated for everything. I don't think the COVID shot was really that necessary, but I went and got it. And I think that's what stopped me from catching it from my friend that died of it. Because I was around her when she had it. But anyways, protect yourself. Treat people with respect. Stop thinking you're better than everybody else. And stop thinking they're lesser than you because maybe they're Mexican. Maybe they're Latino. Maybe they're Asian. Maybe they're Middle Eastern. Or maybe they're Black, African. That doesn't make them a lesser person than you because you're white. Just because you're white, check your white privilege. You're not better than they are. There's some people that are a lot better than you are. Think about things the way God would. God would not treat people that way. God would love everybody equally and base them on the way they act and the way they are. If they're doing the right, if they're being a good model citizen and obeying the law and just having a good having a nice attitude, treating people with kindness, then you should treat them with kindness. Stop over treating people with disrespect. What happened to Charlie Kirk just because of his political opinions is wrong. Yes, he had some very nasty opinions, but that doesn't mean he deserved to be murdered. That's wrong. That is so wrong. And that Ukrainian woman that got murdered on the train, sickening. Sickening that she got murdered on a subway. You know, you can't just go around murdering people because they're immigrants. Immigrants deserve to be here too. They're not all bad. And to send somebody back and to say, oh, you're from the Ukraine, get the fuck back to Ukraine. Fuck you. You go to Ukraine and you live in that war-ridden country. No. They're here seeking asylum and we should give them asylum. We should help them, not say, oh, fuck you. Go get murdered in your own country. They were here to be, people are here legally and they're not even checking to make sure before they're taking them away. Due process. Don't send away people that paid big money it cost them big money to be here legally. And if they're here legally, It takes a long time to be here before you can become a citizen. You can't just come here and say, I want to be a citizen. It takes something like 5 years. And a lot of money. You got to pay a lot of money. It costs money to our government to be here. And if you paid that money, you should be able to stay here. If you got approved, you should be able to stay here. Period. It doesn't matter what Trump thinks. If they did the due process and went through it the right way, then they should be able to stay here and be a citizen. And if they're here, sometimes an immigrant has to be here for a certain amount of time before they can even apply. You don't know the laws, but they need to, a lot of people pay big money to get smuggled into our country. And that's less, and it's a lot of money, and it's still less than what it costs to be here legal, to get here through legal. Sometimes you can't come here legally on a visa without having a host person to be here. And if you don't know any Americans that can be your host, they can't be here. There's no way for them to be here. They'll just get denied. They can't afford the money. A lot of the people that want to come here from other countries don't have the money to pay for all that, so they come here illegally. And then they stay here for a long enough time, and then they apply to be here legally and try to be a citizen so that they can stay. That's the only way sometimes that's the only way they can do it. Because if they don't have a host person, they'll probably just get denied, and they'll waste money that they can't afford to waste. If they knew for 100% sure they were going to be approved, they probably would have. You don't know what it's like. Don't talk about being an immigrant and being here illegally or legal until you know what that person went through to get here. And how much it cost and how hard it is to have that kind of money. It's dollars. It's thousands and thousands of dollars. It's not just a few $100s to apply. I think it's something like $5,000. If you ever watched 90 Day Fiancé, that's how much it is to do the K1 visa. And if you're not doing a K1 visa is the easiest way to get over here. But 9 times out of 10, you're going to get denied your first time. And that's a lot of money, and you have to reapply. And it costs just as much. You could spend $5,000 to $10,000 trying to get here, and not even get here. That Angela applied for 10 years. Don't judge people for being here illegally. If they're not doing crimes, they should be able to stay. Let them, tell them, go take become an American citizen or leave. You got so long to do this test and become a legal American citizen, or you're deported. You have to pass the test, and you got give them 6 months to pass the test. If they can't, then they get deported. And if they're not got a criminal record here, they can apply. And if they got a criminal record here from doing something that they shouldn't have been doing, then they need to be deported. Period. But if they're a law-abiding citizen paying taxes, but the only thing they don't have is a legal citizenship here, then tell them they got 6 months to go get it. If they're not an actual citizen of America and they haven't went and stripped their citizenship from their other country, then tell them to do that then. Give them so long, and if they don't do it, if they can't do it, then they just get deported. That's fine. They chose to be deported. Give them a chance. But anybody who's not a legal citizen of this country, who's here, who's illegally here, who's working and paying taxes, if they're paying Social Security tax, they are paying into Social Security that they will never get, and that will pay for your Social Security because you get it. Remember that, people. There's a lot of things that they can't get, like government. They can't get government assistance because they're not a legal citizen. But they can work and they can pay taxes, and they're going to pay the same taxes that you and I pay. And they are going to pay for things that we're going to get that they can't get. And they're going to work a little bit harder and pay a little bit more taxes because they have to work harder to have the things that they need. So I wanted you guys to know that these are things that are going on in our country that we need to think about. Not all. If they're a law-abiding tax-paying person, and the only thing that they got going on that's wrong is they're just not a legal citizen, then they should be able to stay and be told, if they're not an actual citizen but they're here legally and they're here on a work and they're here working and living, then let them stay as long as they're here legally and they're not causing criminal or activity. Tell them if they're illegal, but they're paying taxes somewhere. If they're paying any kind of tax, then they should be able to have things. Stop thinking that everybody that's from another country is bad. Not all of them people that are over here. I know people that are immigrants that are not bad people, that are hard-ass working people. And very nice, too. I haven't seen them in a long time because they closed the restaurant. You know, there's a lot of people that went back because they didn't want to lose their children. Guys, what can you... They need to check and make sure they're here legally or not legally. If they're here legally, they should be allowed to stay. And if they're not, and if they're not, give them a certain amount of time to be here to get the legal status, or make them go back. Tell them they got 6 months. Give them 6 months to get their shit together. And if they don't, deport them. Don't deport them. To make them go back to where they came from. Make them take their kids and go back where they came from. But you got to treat people with respect. We got to start having respect for human life. People that are already alive, women that are pregnant, if that woman wants to live, don't infringe on the Jewish person's right to have an abortion. To protect the mother's rights. The mother has a right. If the baby's going to kill the mother, they value the mother. In Jewish culture, they value the mother's life over the baby that's not born yet. They will have an abortion if the baby's going to kill the mother, because the mother can have another baby. But if that baby's going to kill the mother, they have to protect the mother because she might have more children to take care of, and they value a mother over a baby because that's not born, because that mother could be a mother of other children, and she doesn't want to die and leave her. If I was a mother, this is me putting this out there. If I was a mother and I was going to have a baby, but I had children already. If I was a mother of, say, one or more children, and I was going to have a baby that was going to make me, and I was pregnant, and this baby was actually killing me, and I knew I was going to die if I didn't have an abortion, I would have that abortion because I would not want to leave my other child, because that child that's not born we're not attached to it yet. There's no reason to keep that baby and make that poor little kid lose their mother just so you can have another human in the world when you're losing one. You're going to have the same amount of people in your country. A person who's already alive and people love them so much should not die over somebody that's not even alive. I would have not wanted anybody to live. I could see if I wanted to let my baby live and let myself go, but I didn't have any attachments to any other children, then that's my God-given right to let myself die and have that baby. But if that baby is killing me and I'm going to leave babies behind, any baby behind, no, I'm not going to do it. I would never do that to children. No other child is more important than the one that's already alive. And if you got children already alive, that's more important than you having another baby. I really like this. It tastes really good. It's a cherry. If you want to know what I just put on my lips, it's Jubal Naturals Treatment Lip Mask, and it's in the flavor of vanilla cherry, and I really, really like it. It's really moisturizing. It's like super duper moisturizing. But remember, not every person has a choice. And medically, our choices should not be taken away from us. If it's a choice that can save our life, like if a woman's having a miscarriage, her life is more important than that baby's life, because if she's having a miscarriage, most likely that baby's not going to live. And if you don't have that whatever procedure to get rid of the baby that's in there, if you don't get it all out, because when you have a miscarriage, it doesn't all come out. They have to do a procedure that's considered abortion, but it's a must to keep the mother from bleeding to death. And that mother might have children at home, and you're saying, oh, your kids don't deserve their mother. Bye. You can just die. That's cruel, and that should never be brought up. Nobody should make that choice. There should be no laws that say they can't help a woman if it's going to cause a baby to not be born. No baby is that important to be born that they shouldn't do what needs to be done to protect the mother. They should do whatever they can to make sure that mother lives if that baby's not going to make it. If you know she's bleeding to death and having an abortion, having a miscarriage, that is traumatic as fuck enough for the mother. And then you force her to almost die. There's been people that died because they wouldn't refuse, because our lawmakers made a choice that made them not be able to protect that woman and do what needs to be done to make sure she lives and doesn't die of a miscarriage. My mother almost died. If they wouldn't have done what they did when my mother got to the hospital, I would not have had a mother my whole life. I was probably 4 years old when my mother had a really bad miscarriage and almost died. She almost bled to death. I am so forever grateful for that hospital that they took her to, that they did whatever they needed to do, and they did whatever they needed to do and saved her fucking life. Saved my mother's life. I'll be forever grateful. But there's women out there that are dying because they don't do what is necessary to save their life. And that should not be illegal. If you agree with me on this, give me a thumbs up. If you agree with everything I said, I think people should be loving towards each other. Love thy neighbor. God said love thy neighbor, not hate thy neighbor because they're different than you. As long as they're treating you with respect, you should give respect. Respect is earned, not given. If you're black, if you're African American, or Native American, or Latino, or Middle Eastern, or Asian, it doesn't matter. Or Caucasian. If you treat me with respect, I will treat you with respect. If you're nice to me, I'll be nice to you. I treat others the way they treat me because that's the way it makes me feel. If you make me feel bad and treat me bad and make it to where it's a hostile environment, or when I'm around you, that's how it's going to, because I have Asperger's syndrome, I can't hide that. My attitude is based on how people treat me. And if you treat me the way I need to be treated, to treat you right, then you're going to get treated right. And that's absolutely 100%, especially with people with autism, especially people with the form of autism called Asperger's syndrome. That's what me and my friend have. And it really, really shows. The better you treat us, the better we treat you. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Remember, treat people with kindness. Treat others the way they treat you. Treat people the way you want to be treated, so that, because being unkind to somebody is not kind. And if someone, remember, you never know what people are going through in their life. Treat people with kindness, and you'll never regret being kind to somebody. And they'll remember you for your kindness. I love you all. Stay positive. Make good choices. And I'll see you in my next video.